Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Just firstly, to kick off, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the many lands of which we are all joining this online workshop from today. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people joining us today. Firstly, so I would like to introduce our presenter today, Sambi Freedy. Sambi is a digital marketing expert and PhD researcher. He's also a teacher at the University of Wollongong. Sambi was my teacher for my digital marketing subject when I was at Wollongong Uni. And I know his class has definitely made an impact on me and the work that I do. So I hope everyone gets a lot out of this session today. And then I just wanted to do one little thing in housekeeping, just if you could put your questions in the chat, and we will get through them either throughout the session or during Q&A at the end. So yeah, that's it from me. I'll hand it over to you, Sammy.
Perfect. So thank you. Thank you, Brooke. That was a very, very kind introduction. With that, we start off. So thank you everyone for joining in. A big thanks to Professionals Australia, the LGEA division for hosting the session, for inviting me in. Big thank you to Brooke. Like she said, she's an A grade and an A++ grade student of mine. And also thank you to all of you who joined in today for the session itself. I want to run you through what we would be doing in the next 1 hour or so. I don't think we'll go up to the hour because we'll have enough time for Q&A as well. But what we're really hoping for is to cover these 3 topics. And to start us off, as we jump into the presentation itself, what I'm hoping for is if you could kindly pop your phones and scan that code. It should take you to a site, and all that's going to ask you is a couple of questions. We've got 3 slides on the site itself, and I'm hoping for you to answer the first question. And as you respond to the question itself, I will, once all of you've got the code, I'm going to stop sharing this screen and share another screen where you'll be able to see your responses. So just pop your phone, scan the code, and that should be good. Alrighty, I'm going to stop sharing and then let me pop the other screen open so we'll actually get to see our responses. Da-da-da. Technology, yeah, nice. And when I share my screen again, these are the responses that you have kindly shared. So thank you. And as the responses keep coming in, we've got roughly 9 people who've managed to scan this code and get here, which is great. So that's kind of where the distribution lies, which is great. So we know sort of where we're starting off from. And I can tell you, none of what I'm going to share is in any way too technical. This is going to be fun. It's going to be hands-on, and we're going to be co-creating a learning experience together. So I want to start us off with that. Now, before we move on to my actual presentation, to help me help you, can you go ahead and on the same code that you should have scanned on your phone, the question should have changed. If you can type in 1 word that describes your professional self, and just hit send. This is anonymous again, so it should pop up. Oh, okay, interesting. And we're going to use this. We're going to use this. So work with me, diligent. That's nice. Hilarious. That's a good one. I actually have an example with hilarious in my presentation. So it all works in beautifully. Creative, tired. I hear you. Yeah, so all of these are anonymous responses sort of coming in, and we're going to be using this, or at least some parts and bits of this, to build off of what our personal brand looks like. Any more responses coming in? Ambitious, that's a good one. I'm going to give this another 15 seconds. And I'm well aware of the fact that some of us are also having lunch, because this is lunch and learn. Lunch being the first word, learn being the second word. So I hear you, even with your cameras on, if you want to, scoop food in as we're doing this, go for it. All good. Perfecto. So my 15 seconds are up and I've got a few more words there. What I'm going to do is, again, I will stop sharing our screen and we will come back to this when we start doing our activities, because we're going to use some of these words into what does my personal, answering the question, what does my personal brand look like? So that's me stopping the share screen, going back to my presentation, and boom, we are back on the share screen with the presentation. All right. So like I said, this entire presentation is done with engineers in mind. So if there is a non-engineer in the presentation, bear with me, it's all engineering, but the examples are completely relatable and you can fix it to any field, non-engineers included. And I will be speaking, but I've tried and kept it to me speaking less and us doing more together as an activity-based co-created learning experience. And all good presentations start off with a story. So I'd like to start off with mine. All of us are present in the real world. And that's at least that's what I'm trying to depict on the left-hand side of my screen. As human beings, all of us exist in the real world, but a lot of us are almost, or in many cases, the important parts of us are bits and pieces of us are missing on the digital world. And what does that mean for us? And how is that related to the story I'm going to jump in? So let me start right there. We moved to Australia as a family roughly 2 years ago. When we landed first, so when I'm saying we, it's me, my wife, and 2 kids. I still remember Sydney Airport, 13 bags, and we knew nobody, like literally 0 people. I had landed admissions with my PhD program, which is why we had come to Australia, to Sydney, and we had 2 mutual friends of friends in Sydney, but outside of that, 0 connection. So when I started off my uni journey, my PhD journey, as you can imagine, packing your bags, leaving your home country to then come to a new land and have nobody can be a fairly daunting task. Again, PhD in itself can be a lonely journey because it's you just focused on your research. And I realized that I badly needed to create connections outside of the 3 supervisors that I have in my PhD program. And I'm talking about professional connections that were required for me to thrive as a working professional. And I hopped onto LinkedIn and I started sort of connecting or at least initiating connections with people. But the way I approached it was without a strategy. I honestly didn't know what I was doing, but I was trying. And then I happened to sign in for a conference at the end of that year. So we moved here in the May of 2022, and I got accepted to present at a PhD doctoral colloquium happening in Perth, Western Australia in December 2022. So maybe 6 months from when we landed. And when the speakers list came out for the PhD program, there were roughly another 50 PhD students from all across Australia and New Zealand on that speaking list. And I had an idea. So what I did is I took each individual's name, looked them up on LinkedIn, and wrote them a short note saying, hey, looks like we both are presenting at the same conference. Would be lovely for us to connect, and so on and so forth. I might have written such sort of very short intro connection requests to maybe 30 people that I definitely found were very closely related to my topic. And then I'm going to stop my story there. I will complete the rest of the story halfway through. So that's going to keep you hopefully there till the end of the session. But the story has a good ending. And with this, I can segue into saying building a personal brand and LinkedIn, these 2 things I have come to realize over the last 2 years have been very, very crucial for me to grow professionally. And don't take my word for it. I understand most of us are engineers here, so we need numbers. Show me the numbers, mate, not just stories. Show me the numbers. I got numbers for you. I got some stats that I pulled up. So what? I mean, why is the topic important? Check out some of the stats that I've pulled up, and I've got the references coming up at the end. But and some of these are fairly old stats, which means I'm assuming the numbers have increased over time. But 7 in 10 adults look up information on other people online. If you've had the time, I wouldn't be surprised if some of you would have looked up today's speaker, aka me, online as well. I see a few nodding heads, so and I see a few people saying no as well. So you're in the other 3 out of the 10 adults who did not look up someone online. But typically 7 in 10 adults look up people online. At least half of us have Googled ourselves at some point in time. And the last bit there, around 70% of B2B interactions, especially if there's a sale involved of some sort, where people are looking to buy something, they've done their independent research beforehand. And a lot of it in today's world is online. And vendors could include contractors, consultants, agents, and so on and so forth. And some more numbers for the engineering minds here. 4 out of 5 professionals consider networking to be important for their careers, but less than half actually believe that they're doing it well. And again, 35%, and that's a win for LinkedIn. 35% of working professionals who are on LinkedIn have got new opportunities, and that's not just job. I should highlight that. So when I'm referring to new opportunities, it's not just jobs, but also even business partnerships and so on. And before we jump into the whole online LinkedIn space, which we will, and like I said, this whole experience of the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to be doing a bunch of activities together. Would like to answer this question first. What is your digital personal brand? Now, I don't have to pull up a textbook definition for it, but really it's the essence of who you are in the online space. It's the way you portray yourself in the digital world, whether that's through internet, whether that's through social media. It's the digital you. It's simple as that. And it's a culmination of how you sound, how you come across, how or what type of content you engage with, and so on and so forth. And all of that together, what you understand or what somebody else understands about you from your digital self combines together to form your digital personal brand. Now, I've highlighted some key aspects, and academics like to put in acronyms and combine them into the 7 C's, the 5 C's, the 6 P's. Be like that. I don't know why, it's just thick. So I did the 7 C's of digital personal branding. And let me jump out to the next slide and show you what would be focusing on today. We would be focusing on clarity. So we're going to now be jumping into an activity where we talk about what sort of positioning am I taking when I am in the online space. And also, I'd like to empower you with the ability to create content using free AI tools that are available, accessible to all of us. And the reason why I've picked these 2 of the 7 aspects is if we can do these 2 aspects correctly, and we have consistency between clarity and content, the rest of it basically falls in place. And also, I just had 1 hour. So that's all I could really cover in the 1 hour that we had together. But like I said, if we can get a clear positioning sorted for ourselves, and if we've got the ability to create content that aligns consistently with the positioning we're going for, the rest of it is pretty much wins in the bag for us. So we'll jump into activity number 1, where we are defining or putting down our personal positioning statement. What is a personal positioning statement? It's a statement, can be a couple of statements that tie in together as well. So there's no limit on the word count itself, but really what it is it's a statement that's concise, that's compelling, and clearly articulates your unique value proposition. Forgive me for using a bunch of marketing terms, but we'll unpack each of these. So what's a unique value proposition? Simply, what makes you unique? Why should somebody pick you over another engineer that's in the room for the given task, for the given job, for the given networking opportunity, for the given speaking opportunity, so on and so forth. And really, your personal positioning statement, the first word being personal, is yours. So we don't have to publish it. We don't really have to put it up somewhere. It's for you to hold on to, and that really aligns all your online activities. And think of this as your elevator pitch for yourself. That serves as the guiding principle, like a sat nav for all of the professional activities that you would do online. So without further ado, let's jump into our first activity, which is creating a personal positioning statement. Now, what I'm hoping for is, since all of us have logged in through some form of a digital device, uh, it would be best if it's a computer, so you can pop up a Word document. If not, maybe a traditional pen and paper, at least you're jotting down notes. What I'm hoping for is at the end of the activity, if you are satisfied with your personal positioning statement and you'd like to share that with the audience, I would be really, really grateful if you can pop it in the chat for the benefit of others. But if you choose not to, that's completely fine. And I have two preset templates for you to choose from. And Brooke, if now I can get your help in sort of copy pasting the template in the chat. So if you're using a computer, you can basically copy paste it off the chat onto your Word document and plug in the information there. We'll give ourselves, say, 5 minutes. I am very, very well aware that we might not be able to complete this entire exercise in 5 minutes, but I'm leaving the presentation and resources for you to build on after we've finished our 1 hour session as well. So we might not be able to fill in everything, but I think it's a good place for us to start off. So that's template number 1. If some of you are unhappy with said template, I have another one for you, template number 2. Whatever fits with the positioning that you're going for. As a reminder, this is your elevator pitch to yourself. This is what serves as the sat nav or the guiding light for all of your digital content online. So that's another. And for those of you who don't want to go down the traditional route, now that's become traditional after ChatGPT launched, which is using our own hands and brains, we've got our good old AI tools to help us. So I've also created a prompt for you. Brooke, if you can also maybe just copy paste the prompt into the chat. If you can then take what Brooke's posting on the chat, put it into any of your free AI tools, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever it is that you use. The tool itself should be able to ask you questions, and as you answer them, you should end up with a personal positioning statement. And
Sorry, hang on. Is it just me, or does the chat not allow you to copy the text?
or does it not allow you to copy the text?
Or maybe, I don't know, it could be just me, but it's not letting me copy.
Brooke, are you aware?
Mine allows me to copy.
Yeah, mine too, because I'm sort of selecting it and then right-clicking and
Yeah.
it does.
Yes, when I click, when I do right click, it doesn't do anything. And it does not.
Maybe
Okay, could be just
Oh,
me. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm having the same issue as well. It's Adam from Port Stephens.
Oh, that is really strange.
well,
I can type it. It's fine. It'll take me like 30 seconds.
okay,
So
go for the type. Thank you.
Hmm.
Yeah, and we will start off our roughly 4 to 5 minute activity now, and I'll leave you with it. Let me know if you want to switch back to some of the previous slides to look at the templates. And I'm here to answer any questions that you have. Yeah, Sally says try screenshots if the copy paste doesn't work. I have Gemini Advanced. It does take in input as images, so it can read off the image. So that's another option. Thanks, Sally. I realize as an academic, it's hard for me to shut up for too long. But as you're working through, let me know if any of you sort of facing any issues, anything that I can help with. And I'd also love to know how many of you are using the AI prompt versus going down the traditional route of typing it all yourself using the template. So if you're using an AI prompt, can you just do maybe like a quick thumbs up if that's okay? Let me see. I should be able to see the reactions on the. Yeah, I see. Interesting. Far more lesser people than I would have imagined, but hey, I hang out in different circles. It's the first time I'm among so many engineers, so yeah. Alrighty, since there's a lot more people doing the traditional route, if you want me to switch back to the templates, in case you're having issues with the chat function, let me know. Being mindful of time, if there's anyone who's got even the beginning or the semblance of what looks like a personal positioning statement and you're happy to pop into the chat, can you do so, please? And while you are coming up with that final version that you're able to pop on the chat, bear with me, I'm not an engineer. This is the best I could do. I've come up with 2 examples for your consideration. And I've popped them on the screen. Both the AI prompts and the templates should end up taking you to an output that more or less looks like the one that's on the screen. Again, there is no right or wrong answer because this is something that faces you, not the public. Oh, brilliant. I see, forgive me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but Asim, I empower logistics teams to develop robust solutions in load resistance by sharing in-depth understanding of HNVR rules and regulations. Unlike general consultants, I offer a bespoke optimized solution. Brilliant. Thank you so much. That is a great example. Thank you so much for sharing. And the key thing is, like I said, this is a statement that faces you, doesn't really go into the public, and this helps drive everything that you do online. Now, if that's okay with everyone, because I'm also being mindful of the time that we have together, I'm going to move on. Again, you will get access to the presentation. Brooke's already got the version, so she'll be sending it by email. Was it, Brooke?
Yeah, I'll send it out after.
Perfect. So there's an email coming through. There's a bunch of resources as well. So all of that's coming. All of the good stuff is coming to you. So fear not if you have not managed to complete your personal positioning statement. It's completely fine. That's homework for later then. And from there, we'll move on. Now, a personal positioning statement is great. And I'd like to point out that it's for you to choose what do you want to balance, because there are various aspects of what you do, even when it comes to, say, a mix of, say, the professional side of you. You could be, I'm just making it up as I go, but you could be very, very very oriented towards, say, sustainability issues. So you're a sustainability champion who also happens to be an engineer. And that's one way for you to decide how you want to position yourself. Do you want to be a sustainability champion who's also an engineer, or do you want to be an engineer who also happens to be a sustainability champion? So really the way you give preference to different aspects of your professional self would play out in your personal positioning statement and thereby make it unique to you. The other aspect that really makes you unique, your digital self as unique as your real self in the real world, is brand voice. Now, again, I do not want to overload you with too many marketing terms because I understand this isn't a digital marketing session, but really brand voice is simply how do you sound, or how do you want to sound? What sort of tone of voice do you want to take when you put out your content? Someone mentioned the word hilarious, and I had it there. So you could be, as a personality type, someone who's very witty or funny, and you can combine that with your unique positioning or your unique selling proposition statement that you've put in. So one is who you are and what you stand for. And the second aspect is your voice, or how do you say what you have to say? Because you can say the same thing in a funny manner. You can say the same thing in a very analytical manner. You could also go for a very empowering approach with your voice. And really, once you've combined your unique proposition with your voice that's unique to you. And again, this is where we want to be authentic. We don't want to be fake. We don't want to be trying and emulating somebody else, but we want it to be as close as possible to the real me. So I don't want to force myself to be funny because people see through that. I don't want to force myself to be using a storytelling style if that's not my vibe. And so I want to try and align myself or I want to try and align my voice to the most authentic me. And then what you have there is a combination. There's endless possibilities that exist once you combine your unique positioning with the voice that you want to take in the digital space. And I've randomly created a bunch of examples. So you've got a humorous engineer who makes complex topics accessible to the general public in a witty and light-hearted manner. And you've got the ethical innovator who's focused on ethics, but is also focused on innovation. You've got a relatable mentor, someone who takes a more empowering approach to sharing information. So this aspect, and with this, I come to the first half of my presentation, which is all about your personal brand, all about what makes you different. And really, once you've got this in the bag, you could use this to create your own persona, your own profiles on any platform. Of course, I will be focusing on LinkedIn because that's the focus of this presentation. But once you've taken these two aspects and combine them together, you could use this to build your professional profiles on any of the digital platforms that are available. Any questions or any comments before I move on to the rest of what I have prepared for the second half? Any questions, any comments? Brooke, can you help me because I can't see the chat?
No, I can't see
Yeah.
any questions there. So yeah,
Yeah.
you're good.
I have a quick
Okay.
question, if it's
Yes.
okay for me to just
Yeah.
ask it.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we need to think about how what we're saying at this stage relates to what we want to do, like the goals that we have, what direction we want to move in? Or would you say that it's more important that we're just really capturing, really who we are and what we're doing and focusing on that to be more authentic and then see where that takes us?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Mandy. And I think even when I say who you are, we've got many aspects to who we are. And since the whole context of this discussion is your professional self, I would lean towards the answer that you want to try and align yourself to the most authentic professional self that you would want to portray. And I have some do's and don'ts when it comes to LinkedIn. But for example, all of us could have different leanings when it comes to politics. Now, do we want that? It's a conscious choice. Do we want that to play an active part of who we are in our professional selves? If yes, well, that's a choice that we make. But in most cases, if the answer is no, actually, that's more on the personal side of things. I would leave it there and see what aspects do I want to highlight to my professional audience as a professional self. So I did that answer the question, Mandy? Yeah, brilliant.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. That was a very good question. Any other questions, people? No, okay, brilliant. So we move on with the rest of the presentation. We do have a few more activities, so hang in there as you gobble up your lunch on the side, lunch and learn. So now and like I said, everything we've done so far is completely applicable to any digital platform, but the focus of today is LinkedIn. And why LinkedIn? Again, I have some stats to show you so that you will believe me because you're engineers. And LinkedIn is, of course, the largest professional networking site that's out there, 1.6 billion as per these statistics, 67 million companies listed out there, and 4 out of 5 people are on LinkedIn, and they are key decision makers in different positions, and they identify themselves as people who drive business decisions. So you're looking at connecting with people who actually have the ability to make change within their organization. And again, there's some hiring statistics for you. I put the hiring statistics at the very end for a particular reason, because as soon as I go to the question why LinkedIn, whether you agree with me or not is another story. But somewhere deep down, for most of us, LinkedIn is a job hunting site. So I have gone ahead and prepared 2 memes that really describe at least my LinkedIn behavior for a while. The employed me, who's oblivious to LinkedIn, and then the other me who's also job hunting on LinkedIn, right? So I've got 2 extremities when it comes to LinkedIn. And I would like to drive home this point that LinkedIn is an amazing platform that does go beyond the job hunt. And I have some specific use cases for you. It's a brilliant platform to showcase your expertise, your skills, your accomplishments, your projects. I don't think Facebook or Instagram might be the best spot to talk about. Here is the latest engineering thing that I have done. Maybe not everyone on Instagram would get it, but within the LinkedIn space where I have my professional network connected with me, they would get it. It's an important platform to expand your network. And the third point is key. I can tell you as a PhD student, a lot of the new updates on relevant papers that are released within my field, I get them off of LinkedIn. It's because most authors would go ahead and speak about, hey, this is my recent publication, so on and so forth. And boom, because they're within my network, it comes onto my feed. And that becomes an important part for me to stay updated with what's happening within my industry. Again, it's a great platform to build your reputation outside of the job hunt. And the last part's really important too, where you can actively give and receive recommendations. That goes beyond recommendation letters, and that sits on your profile for the years to come. So there is multiple aspects that go on LinkedIn beyond the job hunt. And I should now complete my story. I went onto LinkedIn and reached out to 30 people saying, hi, you know the background, you know the backstory. They didn't. Hi, the backstory is I just landed here 6 months ago and I know nobody. They didn't know that. All they knew was, hi, we're both presenting at the same conference, would love to connect, so on and so forth. I wrote them a short message, send out connection requests. Out of the 30 people, maybe say 20 people responded positively. And from there, the next idea popped up saying, hey, wait, hold on. Maybe since 20 people have connected with me, maybe we can form a LinkedIn group. We formed a LinkedIn group. In 2 years, that LinkedIn group has grown from 20 people to 50 people, now surpassing 80 people. And guess what? At the end of 2 years, right now, as we speak, I'm in works with the organizing body of that conference to make our LinkedIn group an official group of the organizing committee. So from someone who knew nobody, literally, to when we landed in 2022, in a few months' time from now, I will be the very first chair or president of the largest PhD body of marketing academics within Australia and New Zealand. And all of that is because I used LinkedIn effectively. Again, I can tell you, I did not have a formula when I did it the first time. This was born out of pure need, but over time, I've myself seen the benefits of LinkedIn. So driving home some key points on what we don't want to be doing on LinkedIn. So first off, I think we made that point clear. Do not log into LinkedIn only for job hunts, because it's very evident on somebody's profile when they do that, because you can see all their past posts. We don't want to be sending spammy, irrelevant messages. Some of these are very obvious in nature. I've seen a lot of profiles that go on talking only about themselves. After a while, it gets to you. And so maybe you want to try and balance that off. Of course, you want to promote yourself, but not overdo it. And that last part, fourth point there is around posting inappropriate content. I would tell you, I'm appalled or amazed by the amount of times people would get into heated arguments on politics, on gender issues, and so on and so forth on LinkedIn. If you do it on Reddit, where it's anonymous, it makes sense. But when you do it on LinkedIn, people can see where you work. And it's as simple as this. I mean, if that's the hill that you want to die on, go for it. But if I have seen you, I don't know, troll someone or literally murder someone on the LinkedIn chat comments, and later you approach me for business, I've kind of already made assumptions of who you are based on all of what you've done on the social site. So again, the word inappropriate is subjective. Like I said, there are some hills that we are ready to die on, so be it. But I will let you decide on what sort of content most aligns with the professional positioning statement that you are going for. Fifth point, do not neglect your profile. That's another thing that ties in with point number one. Very often people make a LinkedIn profile and then it's dead. Last post 6 years ago. What happened after that? No, they're not dead. They just never came back on LinkedIn after. And then 6 years later, when they're job hunting, like they're back on that. We don't want to do that. And then, yeah, last but not least, we don't want to ignore legitimate requests. We're pretty much nearing the close of what we wanted to do. As promised, we would also look at creating content. That will be the last activity we do. But before that, I'm again hoping to have a co-created experience here. Brooke, if you can kindly paste these links in the chat. This is a 2-minute, 3-minute activity tops. What I want you to do is go ahead and click on any one of these links. These are all people that I found on the source below. This article was titled Top Engineers to Follow. I thought it might be of interest for us. And what I'm hoping for us to do when you click on the links and check these people's profile out is simply have a look and note down one particular point that you think they've done well with their LinkedIn profile. Whatever stands out to you. Like I said, this isn't some fancy digital marketing exercise. This is just me as an engineer, as a layperson who's not maybe an expert in digital marketing, just looking at a profile and saying, I like that particular aspect of this profile. And if you're happy to pop it in the chat, I would really, really appreciate that. But if for whatever reason your hands are full because you're eating, it's lunch and learn, completely fine. These profiles will be available for you as a part of the PPT as well. And I'm pretty sure, by the way, I don't know if you know, but LinkedIn has this feature where it says this person has viewed a profile. All of these people have going to have bumps in their profile views, and they're going to be wondering, what did I do well that suddenly so many people are viewing my profile? It's just that they got picked in my presentation. So have a look, and we have the activity coming up next. We have roughly 16 minutes or so, so I'm being very mindful of time as well. Yeah, just click away, have a look. If you're happy to post on the group chat the one aspect that stood out to you, that would be brilliant. And I just remembered Brooke had asked me to also maybe open a profile on my screen for maybe those who are unable to open the links, and I will do that right now. So I'm going to stop sharing and I will pop open a window. And I'm just going to pick the one profile that came up on my screen. Okay, and I'll share my screen again. Jay's profile looks like he's a fun guy. Great. So Mandy, thank you for that input. And maybe that's the brand voice that Jay is going for. And I would agree with you because I've seen that particular profile and it looks like he's got it spot on. So that's a fun engineer there. I picked up Monique's profile. Can you see Monique's profile on my page? Yeah, brilliant. So for those of you who are unable to maybe open one of those links, I'm happy to sort of scroll through. I'm going to open their About Me section as well, so you kind of see a little more while having the chat window open. They all have headlines that are more than just where they currently work. Yeah, thank you, Brooke. I appreciate it. Yes, that is true. So it's, like I said, it's not just about the jobs that we do. LinkedIn is beyond that. Interestingly enough, this quote from, Monique in her About profile has a Lorax quote. Not something that you would see in a chemical engineer's profile typically. So that's a good one. I would say it stands out. I'm looking at the posts just overall. It looks like Monique actually posts once in 5 months. Maybe we want to try and up that number a little bit. But otherwise, the profile is pretty much filled up well. All of the sections have been done well. And they've got a nice cover image as well, the background image where it talks about what they do. Okay, so now that we've done that, I'm going to stop sharing, and I would like to move on to the activity that I actually wanted us to do, which is I've picked up some examples closer to home. Again, LinkedIn profiles. I know I have no affiliation with any of these people. I don't know them, they don't know me. These are just random engineer profiles that I found on LinkedIn. Now, what I was hoping for us is, again, Brooke, if you can pop them in the chat, what I was hoping for us is to, wait, do I have your profile? Okay, someone else has popped in their profile. Go for it. If someone's volunteering their profile, all good. What I was hoping for us is to look at any one of these profiles that are there on the chat. And again, for us as a learning experience, because this is a co-created learning experience, for us as a learning experience, to hop on, to look at their profile and look at one aspect that they've done well and one aspect that they could improve. And that should be a good starting point for us to figure out the next bit, which is around content. And if you can focus around content, that would be brilliant. If you can look at what types of content have been working for these people, that would be a bonus. And when I say working, typically in digital marketing space, we would measure the effectiveness of a content by the engagement it gets. So how many likes, how many shares, how many comments. That's indicative of the fact that people within their network have actually engaged with their content. Again, I'll leave it to you to click on the links, look at their profiles, and if anything stands out as something that they've done really well, or as something that they could improve, please pop it in the chat. And simultaneously, if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat as well, because I did have a Q&A time for us separate at the end of the session. But if you want to pop them in right now, I'm happy to take them at the very end as well. Alrighty, folks. Please feel free to pop in the chat any one aspect that has stood out to you. Great. Thank you, Mandy. You're my most engaged student. If you were in classroom, I would have given you a box of chocolates and you could then pick one. But yeah, I've looked at Olivia Morrison, and what she's done well is to have a good profile photo and have featured posts. Brilliant. So what you are doing as you are doing this activity is you are unpacking what are the key aspects to have in one's LinkedIn profile. What are the key aspects? So if you look at your own feedback, looks like a profile photo is a good profile photo. A professional profile photo is a key aspect. Featured posts, headline under the name. Thank you, Syed. So these are the key aspects that for us as an audience has stood out, and thereby I definitely want to make sure that I'm replicating this within my own profiles if I've already not done so. how can I apply some of these best practices to my own profile? And this is an activity that you can continuously do. Every time a LinkedIn profile stands out to you, something catches your eye, it's a great idea to go check it out. What kind of bio have they put up? What kind of about section? What kind of background images have they used? What sort of profile photo have they used? What sort of post do they put up? That's an important question for me to answer. Now, like I said, in the 1 hour that we had, I don't think we've got enough time to amp up our LinkedIn profiles. But what I'm hoping to leave you with is enough thinking points and some starting points for you to build off of when the session is over. Again, I have a resource that talks about the 24 things, I believe, or the 20 things that you need to keep in mind when you're creating a LinkedIn profile. And you could go through that entire checklist and fix your profile. I've got some links that talk about different types of content you can post up on LinkedIn as well. So that should give you some ideas. And here are some more ideas even within the presentation for you to consider when you're using LinkedIn. And why am I speaking about content? I want to connect all of this together. We started off by talking about the importance of digital personal branding. We then jumped into saying, hey, LinkedIn is one among the best platforms to build your and portray your brand to an audience. And one of the don'ts that we talked about is we said, don't use LinkedIn only for job hunts and don't leave a dead profile. Last post 6 years ago, that's no good. I rather not have a LinkedIn profile. So continuously posting content is key, but the word continuously could mean different things for different people. I see people who post daily. I see people who post weekly. I see people who post once a month. I see people who post once in 6 months. You decide what sort of variation you want. I can tell you though, once in 6 months is far too long. Daily might be too much. So you want to try and figure out the rhythm that best suits you. What type of content should you be posting? You take a pick. You've got types of content, you've got different formats of content. Any combination of this works on LinkedIn. Do you want to do an image-based content with text attached to it? Or actually, do you want to go for a very long form text-based content? Say a LinkedIn blog, for example. Do you actually want to do polls? I have found polls really work well. People like to click on buttons and see who voted for what. Clickety click, people like that. So polls work really well. And as one last activity, I'd like to leave you with this. You can again use free AI tools to create content. Mind you, if we just use a tool to randomly create content and keep posting them online, they don't do good. Eventually people see through it because it doesn't sound like you. We talked about your unique proposition, something that sets you apart, and your brand voice that sounds like the authentic you. So I've put that as a PS right at the bottom. You want to keep tweaking the responses till it sounds like you. You're just taking the assistance of an AI tool to create content. But again, hey, I did say for us, a lot more of us prefer the traditional route, which was I will type the whole content myself. Go for it. Go for it. But if you're ever under the impression that, oh my God, I do not have time to create content, you don't have that excuse anymore. We got all of these free AI tools to help us do what we would have loved to do. And if, again, in the interest of time, I will leave this with you for you to work on later. If you would like to have some content inspiration, I would like to highly recommend that you follow these 2 pages, because you will find engineers such as yourself on said pages and professionals such as yourself on said pages. I've also put in a quick snippet of what this would look like in case you can't find them. So if you look at LGEA NSW, you should be able to find the Local Government Engineers Association, which is how this invitation went out. And also then there is the Professional Australia's page. So what you would want to do is follow these pages, find out who are the other people following the pages, try and see what sort of posts they put up, try and see what sort of posts people like. And all of those points should give you enough information to start creating your own content. With that, we've pretty much come to the end of my presentation. I'd like to run you through just the resources that I mentioned that's available for you to click through after. I've compiled some. So there's how, if you're worried about creating images, how do I make a better background image? You can use Canva. I've put in a link there. What type of posts go on LinkedIn, what to post on LinkedIn. The personal positioning statement templates are available on the HubSpot link. And then, yeah, steps to improve your LinkedIn profile. What sort of LinkedIn groups should be a part of. And then there is the top engineers to follow from where I got my first list. That's the list of references that I used. And with that, I pretty much come to an end of my presentation. Thank you very much. As a LinkedIn plug, if you would like to follow me and connect with me as a starting point, I'm happy to accept all your requests. You can find me on the search tab by typing in my name, SAMBY FREADY, Samby Freddy. And also that's my email ID right at the bottom. Brooke, have I missed out anything on the chat window itself?
No, nothing on the chat. No,
Okay.
that's all good. But we have time now. So if anyone has any questions, go
Yes.
for it.
Yes, questions as they come. And if you can now go ahead and scan that code again, it'll take us back to the same slide that we had originally seen. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. Oh, sorry, I did that too soon. My bad. I'm going to share the screen again. Yeah. So this should give us, hopefully some of us have moved from the previous categories to the categories where we understand a little more about the topic. If you manage to scan the code, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I will put up my Mentimeter screen again. Okay, let's see. Share my screen. Okay, great. So if you can maybe just pop in your responses, I would be happy for us to see how much we've moved between the two. Yeah, brilliant. Great, thank you. Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you for the 3 people who have responded. Yay, thank you. It feels good. So this is my student feedback, if I may call it that. It's a good spot for me to see how effective I have been and take some feedback away, and for yourself as well to sort of see that we were predominantly in the first 3 categories, and we see a lot more people have moved down to the bottom 4 categories, which bottom 3. Yeah, cool. I'm going to leave that open while we move into Q&A. If there's any questions, happy to answer them. I'll check the chat as well.
Not to be that guy, but I do have one question.
Go for it. Yes, please.
So I don't know if you've seen this, but there is a little bit of because I really like Instagram, so I'm on Instagram all the time.
Sure.
And I've noticed an increasing amount of memes on Instagram that sort of like take the mickey a little bit out of LinkedIn, and how there's like that real kind of hustle culture, and how everyone's sort of relentlessly positive all the time. And I just wanted to get an idea from you about like how helpful is it, or is it helpful to be realistic and talk about maybe struggles that you're having professionally as well? Or do you think actually LinkedIn has that sort of reputation for a reason, because it actually is important to be positive, like, you know, as much as possible to present that side of you to that sort of audience?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I feel one bit of what you said is true. You see that a lot where, you know, it becomes, and also with AI kicking in, it's become like a content factory now, like boom, boom,
Yeah.
this is not. But on the other side, with everything that we've discussed, you've got people who are being true and authentic to who they are. And just one specific example that stands out is, I think I recently saw it on LinkedIn. It was one of the news channels. The news anchor had an anxiety
Yeah,
attack
I saw that.
as,
Yeah.
and when that went up on LinkedIn, the amount of positive support
Yeah.
was brilliant. And that, in my opinion, goes to show sort of the one side of LinkedIn that's there, that's positive, that's vibing, that's ready to sympathize with even our professional selves having challenges. And the fact that, I think it was ABC, if I'm not mistaken, but I think ABC went ahead and posted it as a LinkedIn post.
Yep.
So you see it through the news anchor doing what he does. I think it's a weather report or the sports, I don't remember, but the person goes on to say, I think I'm having an anxiety attack, and then boom, they cut back to the actual TV anchor, and then the comments at the bottom were, from what I read, 100% from what I read was positive, saying, hey, thank you
Yep.
for being real, and so on and so forth. So I think there is space for that, for sure.
Yep.
For sure. Yeah, that's been my experience with LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's a really good example, actually, because I also saw all the positive comments on that, and also the positive comments around how his colleagues helped to handle that situation also. Like, it was really professional and supportive. So yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Thank you for that, Mandy. I see a question from Brendan. Should you talk to the employers about what you're able to share? I think that might be a good conversation to have, Brendan. I guess every employee have different standards. For example, the uni does media training for us, so we know what we can say and what we cannot say. But again, LinkedIn is more about your professional selves, and I understand that fairly has a big overlap with what you do for your employer. So I'm sure there's that sweet spot where you're allowed to talk about what you do, but there are then certain stuff that you're not allowed. So I guess, yeah, maybe talking to your employer might be a good idea. Perfect. Any other questions? Brilliant. All right, back to you, Brooke. Thank you.
Oh, well, that's great. Thank you so much, Sammy. That was amazing. I think some people who've had to jump off have left some very positive comments. So it seems very well received. So thank you so much. And I will share the slides with all the resources to everyone who's registered. So it's all
Brilliant.
good.
Yeah, thank you, Brooke. Thank you to everyone who's stayed back, and for all of those who have popped it in the chat as well. It was lovely meeting all of you guys, and hopefully we'll stay in touch on LinkedIn.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Have a great
Thanks,
afternoon.
Samby.
Yes, thanks. See you.
Bye.
Thanks, Brock.
Thank you.
Bye.